Number 1 is asking you to solve the equation below and to justify each step. It's asking you what is the first step to solving the equation, which is 12 minus x equals 18. So if we take a closer look at the equation, we see that in order to get this x here by itself, this 12 has to be moved. And since it is in the front, we have to look at the sign and do the opposite operation. Since this is positive, the opposite sign is negative, so that means we'll be subtracting 12 on both sides. So looking at our choices, either C or D has us subtracting. Since we're subtracting 12, it would have to be C, using the subtraction property of equality. Now, what we have here is our steps. So we subtract 12 from both sides. 12 minus 12 gives you 0 on the left, which leaves you with negative x. On the right, we have 18 minus 12, which is going to be 6. So we type in 6. Now, we're rewriting negative x. We don't write it, but it's understood when there's no number written there that it is a 1. And since there's a negative there, it would be negative 1. And that would be the multiplicative property of negative 1, because we're multiplying negative 1 by x. Now the final step requires us to divide both sides by negative 1 to get x by itself, so division property. And the last step is we divide. 6 divided by negative 1 is negative 6. And that's the answer for number 1. 2 is asking you to solve the equation. We have 5x plus 6x minus 9 equals 13. So let's take a closer look at it. So looking at this, I see the first step is going to be to combine like terms. And that is because we have two terms with an x on it. These are like terms. So we add them, 5x plus 6x, which is 11x, minus the 9 equals 13. Now I would add 9 to both sides, which will give me 11x equals 22. Divide both sides by 11, and I'm left with x equals 2. And that's my answer for number 2, so let's type that in. Typing it in, and 2 is the answer for number 2. Number 3, it is asking you to solve the equation, so let's do that. So the first thing I see is that my variable is on this side, and to get this by itself, I have to move this 9.6 first. And to do that, I would subtract from both sides, because since 9.6 is in the front, I have to do the opposite sign. So I have 5.6 minus 9.6, and that gives you negative 4 equals negative 0.5x. Now I divide both sides by negative 0.5, and I'll get x equals positive 8. So the answer for number 3 is going to be positive 8, so let's type it in. So x equals 8. That's number 3. So number 4, we are solving the equation, so let's do that. So what we need to do first is, on the right, combine my like terms, which are 7 and negative 2x. So negative 2x plus 7x gives me positive 5x. So now I subtract 6 from both sides, and I'll get 15 equals 5x. Divide both sides by 5, and x is going to equal 3. So my answer for number 4 is going to be 3. So let's type it in. So type it in, and 3 is the answer for number 4. Number 5, it says solve the equation. So let's do that. So the first thing I need to do is combine my like terms on the left, that is b and 6b. When there is no number written in front of the letter, it is understood to be a 1 there, so this is a 1b. So 1b plus 6b equals 7b minus 4 equals 27. So we add 4 to both sides, and we get 7b equals 31. Divide both sides by 7, we'll get 31 over 7. Now, if that could be reduced, we would reduce it, but in this case, there is no number aside from 1 that could be divided into both 31 and 7. So we leave it as 31 over 7. And that's going to be my answer, so let's type it in. So we type in 31 over 7, and that is my answer for number 5. So we're going to skip to number 8, which is also asking me to solve the equation, so let's solve it. So the first thing I need to do is to distribute this negative 2 into the parentheses. So negative 2 times r is negative 2r, and negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. So writing that out, I have negative 2r minus 16 equals negative 21. Now I add 16 to both sides, and I'll have negative 2r equals negative 5. Divide both sides by negative 2, and I'll have r equals positive 5 over 2. A negative divided by a negative is going to be positive. So positive 5 over 2 will be the answer, so let's type it in. So typing in 5 over 2, and that is the answer for number 8. Number 9 says to solve the equation and to choose the method you prefer to use. Now I'm going to show you a shortcut for this one, so let's take a look at it. Now, in order for the shortcut to work, each and every term must be a fraction, and they all must have the same denominator, which they do. Their denominators are all 17. When that's the case, you can simply cross out the denominators and rewrite everything that's left, which would be b minus 5b equals 36. Now I combine my like terms. This will be 1b minus 5b, which is negative 4b. We divide both sides by negative 4, and we'll get b equals negative 9. So my answer is going to be negative 9, so let's type it in. So typing in negative 9, that is the answer for number 9. Number 10 says solve the equation below. Choose the method you prefer to use, so let's do that. So, like the last one, where we have all the denominators being the same, here they're not, but we're going to make them all the same. Probably the easiest way for you to do this would be to multiply each of the denominators together. Doing so gives you 432. So then what I need to do is take that 432 and see what I need to multiply each of these numbers by to get that. So we will divide 432 by 6, and we get 72. Now what I need to do with that 72 is multiply both top and bottom by that to get my fraction with the denominator of 432. So I multiply the top number by 72 in this one, and I get 72n over 432. Now, what I do from there is divide 432 by 12, and that gives me 36. So I multiply top and bottom by 36. So 36 times 12 is 432. 36 times 5 is going to be 180n. Don't forget to have the n's here for both of them. Now I divide 432 by 6. Remember that's 72. Multiply top and bottom by 72. I'll have 72 over 432 on this side of the equal sign. Now, like the last problem, we have just fractions, all the same denominator. I can cross out the bottoms, and that'll leave me with 72n minus 180n equals 72. Now I combine my like terms. 72n minus 180n is negative 108n. I divide both sides by negative 108, and I'll have 72 over negative 108, which reduces down to negative 2/3. So my answer is going to be negative 2/3. So let's type that in. Type in negative 2/3, and that is the answer for number 10.